Is Diablo 4 worth your time? Well, that's the question I'm going to try and answer for you today. And to do that, I'm going to split this video up into 3 parts. And in part 1, we're going to be talking about the new player, the person who wants to get into Diablo 4 but actually hasn't bought the game yet. We're going to talk about whether it's worth its price tag, its barrier of entry, and if you get your money's worth. In section 2, we're going to be talking about the returning player. You know, maybe you left pre-season 1 because of all the player nerfs. And maybe if it wasn't that, maybe you quit early on because you didn't enjoy the seasonal mechanic. And I'm going to be telling you whether or not it's time to come back for season 1 or whether to wait off for another season. And finally, in the 3rd section, we're going to be talking about the player that's still currently playing Diablo 4, but is wondering if it's time to put the game down for the rest of the season. So with that, I'm going to try and answer all these questions for you. So let's jump right in for my new players. So you want to start playing Diablo 4, but you haven't bought the game yet. Is it worth it? Well, to look at that, let's talk about how much Diablo 4 actually is. And if you look at it, the standard edition at $70 is the cheapest version that you can play in Diablo 4. And is it worth that $70 or even the $100 for the Ultimate Edition? Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's dive into what you actually get. When you purchase the game, the first thing you're going to do is the campaign or the story. And with this, you have 35 hours of roughly of campaign if you watch everything. And with it, I must say, is a very, very good story. It is compelling. It is very, very good. If you have kept up with the previous story of Diablo, you definitely don't want to miss Diablo 4's story. The cutscenes are some of the best cutscenes I've seen in my entire life, and I'm very, very happy with it. There were lots of fun bosses with unique mechanics, lots of cool fights, and the cutscenes really stuck out to me. Now for me, 35 hours of story doesn't really equal $70, but don't worry, you get a lot more than just 35 hours of story. Actually, to get to level 100, which is considered maxing out one character, takes about 150 hours. So we look at that, you have about 120 hours left to do outside of the story. But what's there to actually do in that 120 hours? Well, let's take a look. So in this 120 hours, there's things like dungeons, hell tides, trees of whispers, world events, and all kinds of stuff. But are they fun? Well, for me, leveling 1 through 50 was an absolute blast. Now, when you finish the campaign, you're going to be around level 35 to 40, so you're already close to going into World Tier 3 of the 4 world tiers. And now in this, you have a lot of things you could do to finish the rest of the way. Like I said, dungeons. You're going to be doing dungeons to unlock aspects and get renown, and new dungeons can be really, really fun. Especially at early levels, your character feels really strong, but also can still be quite challenging on some bosses. And then you also have events like hell tides, where you can go to a certain area and there'll be increased mob density, chests you can open with a currency gathered in there to get crazy amounts of legendaries and cool rewards. There's also events called Tree of Whispers, where you can do a dungeon or other events and get points to then open a special cache from an NPC in the game. Then of course you also have world events like world bosses and XP driven events where you have to kill legions of enemies with other players in the world. And overall, 1 through 50 doing these events is an absolute blast. And in my opinion, doing the campaign and getting to level 50 after doing these events, that's worth the $70 for me. It is super, super fun, and the great thing is you can do it over and over again as the stories go, or in one season with other characters. Now, sadly, this is where the good news for Diablo 4 is going to stop for a minute. Because like I said, to get to the max level for your character, you need to get to level 100. And how is that going to happen? Well, like I said, you get to level 50, and then you start moving up in world tiers. You go up to World Tier 3, where you unlock a thing called Nightmare Dungeons. And you're going to become very familiar with that term, as getting from 70 to 100 is about 115 hours of the game. Out of the 150 hours total, 115 is just to go 30 levels. And during that time, you're going to do absolutely nothing but Nightmare Dungeons. Even if you're playing on the seasonal realm, you won't even be doing the seasonal mechanic, as past level 70, the seasonal mechanic's useless. You already have everything you need as far as Caged Hearts go, and you just have Nightmare Dungeons as they're the most efficient source of XP. You can still do all the things on the list, hell tides, world events, stuff like that, but it's not worth it as far as XP goes. It would take you hundreds upon hundreds of hours to get to level 100 doing overworld events. So what happens at level 70? Well, honestly, if you're a casual player, you're not going to make it to 100. You are going to burn out and be bored of this game long before you get there. Going from 70 to 100 is only for the completionists and the people who want to beat the pinnacle boss, which is Uber Lilith. And if that's not interesting to you, then I really wouldn't recommend doing it because it can be absolutely miserable if you don't enjoy that grind. But like I said, leveling through 1 through 50 or even 1 through 70 is an absolute blast, and I would definitely recommend doing that, as in that time you might find yourself getting hooked and even going all the way to level 100. Now, to wrap up section 1, is it worth it? In my opinion, yes, this game is worth $70. And honestly, it's because of that first playthrough of Diablo 4. Going through the story, getting to level 50, and then getting to level 70 through these events is an absolute blast. Feeling your character grow, maxing out your skill points to use your entire kit, building a build guide that's your own, or looking up online that you know is going to work, it is an absolute blast. And the best part is, if you like doing the beginning, you can do it over and over again through seasons with changes in new content, which is why overall this game is definitely worth $70. Because even if you play it one season and you don't like the seasonal mechanic, then just wait and play the next one. Play the seasonal mechanics that you find fun. And try and do that with all of the Diablo games, even Diablo 3. Play the seasons that you think are fun, and same way with Diablo 4. So wrap up this section, yes, this game is worth $70, and if you are a new player, I would recommend giving it a try. If you've been having the itch to play Diablo 4, scratch it and go ahead and play. So with that, let's move on to our second section. Now, if you're watching this section, you're probably wondering, is it time to come back? And well, to answer that, we need to ask, why did you leave? Did you leave because of the mass nerfs to every class before Season 1? Did you leave because of gameplay problems, like bugs and stuff like that? Did you leave because of the fundamentals? Well, let's break it down. If you left because of the nerfs to every class and gameplay problems like nerfs, then I would recommend coming back. With patch 1.1.1, they've rectified a lot of the nerfs and made Barbarian and Sorcerer playable again. Now, the other classes are already incredibly strong, and I would even go out to say that every single class in this game right now is stronger in Season 1 currently than it was pre-seasons. And as far as the gameplay and nerf sides of it is, they fixed a lot of the nerfs that were present in Season 1. Now, in the process of doing, though, they increased the amount of new ones and introduced new game-breaking bugs, but they are working hard to fix those, and I don't see that as being as much of a problem anymore. So if those are your two problems holding you back, 100% give it a try. But there's still something wrong with Season 1, and that is the lack of endgame content. Once you get to level 70, it's like you're playing on the Eternal Realm again. You have nothing to do but spam nightmare dungeons for the next 100 hours to beat the same boss that you beat in preseason. So that's up to you if it's worth coming back. I think it would be fun just to go through and play 1 through 70. If the idea of grinding nightmare dungeons again doesn't sound fun, I would recommend trying out the seasonal mechanic and going 1 through 70, trying out the new classes, the new builds that are possible, especially Necromancer. Seeing with the caged hearts, you can do some really, really cool stuff. So with that, let's talk about why maybe you shouldn't come back. If you weren't a fan of the fundamentals, you're not going to like Season 1 because the fundamentals didn't change. They just added a little tiny sprinkle of content and slapped Season 1 on it. Now, and that's kind of the sad truth. It did make leveling 1 through 70 fun again, but it did nothing for the end game. And so if that was your problem with Season 1, then it's not worth it to come back. Wait till a season that actually sounds fun where they bring more endgame content that we've all been thriving for. So that is going to wrap up section 2. I hope I answered all your questions. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. If you're watching this part of the video, you're probably wondering, should I quit Diablo? Let's talk about it. Are you having fun? If you're not having fun, why are you playing the game? There's a few reasons I think you might be. Is it fear of missing out? Which usually happens when people are obsessed with a game, but they aren't having fun currently, and they don't want to leave because they think they're going to miss the good part. Well, sadly, in Diablo 4, we have way past the good part of Season 1. If your fear of missing out is for Season 1, then don't worry. You're not going to miss out. Because I can for sure tell you that future seasons are going to be better of Diablo 4. The developers promised us that Season 1 is going to have the least amount of content out of any season. So if you're not having fun, take a break. Go play a game that actually sounds fun. Don't burn yourself out when you still want to play future seasons. If you keep playing Season 1 when it's not fun, you're not going to want to play Season 2 or Season 3 or Season 7. So take a break. Go enjoy other games. There's no contract here saying that you have to play Season 1 for the next 3 months and then start all over again with Season 2. Games like this are designed to play until it's not fun, take a break, and then come back and enjoy the fun part again. And I really can't stress that enough. If you're not having fun, take a break from Diablo. There's nothing to be afraid of missing out on. There's nothing like that. Of course, there's going to be updates if you leave, but they're just going to be small class changes, small buffs, and they're easily able to catch up on in the next season. Now, I think there are a few reasons why you maybe shouldn't quit Diablo. And here's a couple of them. If you're still having fun, there's no reason to quit. If you go to the Diablo 4 subreddit, you will see nothing but negativity. Everyone there hates Diablo. But if you're having fun, don't let someone else's hate for the game mess with your own. You know, if you clicked on this video thinking, I'm having fun, but I guess it's a bad game, I think I should stop playing, then click off this video and go play. Have fun with the game. Don't let anyone online tell you that, oh, you can't have fun on this game because it's a bad game right now. Diablo 4 is not a bad game. It has bad qualities, and they can be fixed. Overall, Diablo 4 is a new game, and it does need to be fixed in a lot of areas, but it's not a bad game. If you're having fun and enjoying it, go play it. You know, if you're at level 90, pushing to level 100 to beat Uber Lilith, and you're like, oh, I'm getting a little bit tired of it, take a break for a week. Come back. This season is going to be here for months. We are not anywhere close to the end of Season 1. So if you need to take a break for a week, 2 weeks, take a month off. Come back. You'll still have time to play Season 1 and refresh yourself before Season 2 comes along. Now, with that, I am going to wrap up the video. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed. Now, if you guys did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, as it really does help me grow here on YouTube. I was hopefully able to answer all your questions, but of course, if you have anything else, make sure to leave it down in a comment below, and I'll try and get back to you. So with that, I hope to see you guys in a future video. Peace out, and I'll see you around.